Gensel over right there. He's got Shane Gensel.
Hundley holds, steps up. Hundley sacks T.J. Watt. NFL history. Watt has tied Michael Strahan's single-season record. Oh, no.
In the air to right. This is deep. And he did it again. Jack Sawinski wins it for the Pirates. 3 home runs in a game.
Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio right here in the Municipal Building. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Smoking Jim Frazier. Chip Hainer won't be in. He said he has a swollen knee, and he could be back next week. So we got Jim Guns Ellenbogen filling in again. For all of you fans of Ellenbogen, Chip's been on for 11 years. Jim fits in perfectly. We love him, but he's only a substitute. I don't know how he gets to the next level, but we'll see what happens.
He does his own show and steals Nick and Jim.
Wow.
I second that emotion because it won't be on BPTV.
I'll get him an 8-cut hoagie.
Okay.
Ouch.
You know what? You're starting to coerce me. Look that up, Smoking Jim. Here, I'll give you the dictionary. Funkin' Wagner's 1909.
That's amazing.
Nick Callis, VIP. Thank you for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park. And then Verizon goes all over the greater Pittsburgh area, from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, City of Pittsburgh. Anybody in the Verizon hub in this area, they're watching our show. If you have Comcast and you're watching us, you have to be in Bethel Park. All right, I got some promos here. Or wait, I should give a shout out for the Facebook page that we're doing Facebook Live on Pittsburgh Sportsline channel. We're doing BPTV, Facebook Live, and YouTube, which I said. So we're doing all that. Plus, if you're watching us on TV and you're traditional like I am, we respect you. My son said he's tuning in. He said, hi, Nick and guys. He's watching us on my 49-inch TV. I need you to get this promo. Usually I don't come out talking bad about a company, but my ex-employer, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, canceled the health care for my union brothers and sisters. I support the Post-Gazette strikers. I'll repeat it if you didn't hear it. I had a 36-year career, negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts 6 times. And this contract, they violated a contract, cut their health care. They went on strike the next day, and the company refuses to meet with them. So please cancel your online and your print subscriptions. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you for listening and your support.
I canceled my prescription this week.
Well, he's a liar, but you know.
No more Post-Gazette coming to my house.
Yeah, but what
Canceled
about?
his prescription, not his subscription.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
got you with your pants down.
yeah. Well, it's a family-friendly show, so we'll try to keep it that way.
Oh, boy.
Johnny Mariano's on here. Look at that close-up.
Johnny be good.
Olive Oil's Pizzeria, Hillcrest Shopping Center sponsors our show. The owner, Frank Venero, has a son, Frankie, senior at Upper St. Clair High School. He made our pizza and our hoagie. So thank you for sponsoring the show. Give a call, 412-831-1900. Tell them the talking machine said, help me out. They will. All right. We have a few people watching the show. Wanted to shout out, Jim Ellenbogen's watching. Michael Thompson, my nephew, I salute you in Arizona. Susie Dupertel is watching, friend from the Meadows. Paul Haley, he's watching us, former Bethel Park resident. And Susie's in Orlando, Florida. Thank you. Margaret Rody's watching. Amy Sliss is watching. Hi, guys. Happy Valentine's Day. Smoking Jim. What about the rest of us, Amy?
Yay.
She
Thank
said
you
you look.
Amy.
She said you look very nice, but why are you wearing an Indianapolis hat? And are you dressed for winter when it was 60 degrees today? People want to know. Okay, we'll move on. Jim, I know you got me on a timer.
I do.
We end each show with Stay Joey Strong. Poor Joey had dreaded brain cancer, DIPG. You die within a year of being diagnosed with it. He died at 8 years old, 9 years ago. There's Joey before DIPG and after DIPG. You can go to the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation.com and you can check it out. You can go to jfccf.org. Please donate whatever you can. They do big events, especially their 5K 1 mile walk in September. And we end each show, Stay Joey Strong, in support of Joey and his family. Next up, another 501c3. Ralph said hello, guys. Hi,
That's my
Ralph.
man.
We won't keep Smoking Jim past 8:29. Always be smiling. The B stands for Bennett. A handicapped child died at 16 and a half. He had 2 kidney transplant, 1 kidney from his dad and somebody else. And he was handicapped, and you never knew it. He was always smiling. So his mother, Kristen, and Dean started Always Be Smiling. I helped boost up their Facebook page with all my friends. They're over 1,200. Please like their events. They help kids that need a transplant. Next 501c3, Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. How is Johnny doing on that camera? He's on fire.
Smoking Jim gives it 11 claps.
Well, to all of you that wonder where Smoking Jim got this, back in the day they had a commercial called Clap On and Clap Off with the clapper with lights. With all our bright lights, he thinks he can shut them off. Just saying. The Bethel Park Historical Society, 2600 South Park Road, red and white trolley there. They're a 501c3. You can donate things there. They have a 1905 schoolhouse that's been totally remodeled. They do events. Check them out. They even have Reginald's Coffee, the best coffee in the area. Go there. Fresh roasted coffee beans with a roaster in their shop. How am I doing, Jim?
Not good.
Well, we had an interference with how he was dressed, and Amy liked
I
it.
included that too, though.
That's what I'm saying. You weren't supposed to.
Even excluding it, doesn't look good.
All right. I'll try harder. All right. Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you from $100 to $5,000. For the gamblers at the other table, they have no money for you. Although Smoking Jim, after the Super Bowl, can loan all of us $250.
Is that right? Yes.
Well, check them out. Go to bpcf.org and get an application. I'm a trustee on the board. We'll do what we can to help you. Next up, Dave Capel likes to have a little fun at my expense. Ralph said you laugh, I have the clapper. I want you for BPTV. There's my smiling face. Call 412-831-3304. You can be like Marco on my camera. You can be Johnny on my promo camera. You can be an employee at BPTV potentially like Nick Callis.
That's less likely, but that's...
Well, he's the first. And
Unless I get fired.
I know.
Unless I-
Well, I don't think you'll be here long as you work for the Fan, too. He's moving on up. You know the Jefferson
Yes,
Smoking
sir.
Jim? He's
Yes,
moving
sir.
on up. You have to look that reference up.
All right.
And we have our youngest BPTV volunteer, Rowan, here. He's directing his first show, folks. Look at how he's doing. All right, last one up, Party in the Park, Saturday, April 29th, and that's South Park Theater. Check it out. Oh, took me a little bit to get arranged here. Let's see how Johnny does that. Right there is perfect. There you go. That's it for all of that. We got What's on Your Mind. Who is it? Smoking Jim Frazier.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Coming at
you
you.
got to see Levine. I got a feeling Patty Mahomes is going to the Super Bowl. Hey, Al Levine, the talking machine.
We were right. We were right.
We were right. We were right. Even
I
though
told people I went under protest with it. I said, don't change your bet. Once in a while, they say a blind squirrel can find an acorn. Our blind squirrel got a winning team.
They got Patrick Mahomes Irish up. Hey, listen. Al Levine, the talking machine, you and Jim in the 60s had the Green Bay Packers dynasty. The rest of us had, me and Johnny, we in the 70s, we had the Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty.
Hold it. Disclaimer. I told you I fell in love with the Steelers when they drafted Joe Green.
But you started.
Did I miss
you
the Steeler
you started
dynasty?
with the Green Bay
I have a
Packer
question
dynasty.
because he wants to argue tonight. Did I miss the Steeler
No,
dynasty?
you didn't. We all had.
Then why are you excluding me from
I
it?
said we all had it.
And Johnny was in Italy. He wasn't even here for the Steelers.
I
So
didn't
what
know
are
that.
you
Where's
talking
Johnny?
about?
Nobody told me that.
Well, that's
So
a
anyhow-
rumor. That's a rumor I started.
Anyhow, but now finally, my man Marco and the VIP of BPTV, they have their own dynasty with Patty Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I told you guys last week, he's the greatest quarterback I ever seen, even better than Brett Favre. And right now, VIP,
What's up?
you'll be able to tell your grandkids one day
She's got trouble.
that you've seen Patty Mahomes play the quarterback position. And that's what's on my mind. The dynasty. The young people got a dynasty now.
Smoking Jim, I can't disclaim.
Dynasty.
I can't disclaim this bit.
In the era of parody.
Well, we've
Here
had
come Patty Mahomes.
Smoking Jim, you're a historian. You're a scout, sometimes Steeler scout, and you're wearing an Indianapolis hat.
Yeah, they got a new
And
coach.
that was the weakest winning Super Bowl game that you've ever had, and
You
you
didn't like
hardly
the game?
you hardly talked about it.
You didn't like the game?
I didn't get to my thing. What's on my mind?
But you said it was a weak game. I
The
thought it was
weakest-
a good game.
The weakest comment on a winning game for you.
Well, I was trying to make the comparison that everybody had an era where there was a dynasty.
You were wrong.
And now
You're wrong.
Who would ever thought in the era of parody there'd be a dynasty? But here come Patty Mahomes.
We already heard you say that.
Yes.
But you're a little bit off. You must have that $250 you're squeezing in your one hand.
I'm a winner.
Dr. John Donatelli just chimed in. Happy Valentine's Day, boys, from North Liberty, Iowa. Clap, clap, clap. Looking for a big post Super Bowl show. Sorry to disappoint you, John, with Smoking Jim. Usually he's a more vivacious type of guy. But we'll get to that later. Bill Bates watching. Abdi Ahmed is watching. Thank you for watching our show. And we're going to go to Jim Guns Ellenbogen. For all your fans, what's on your mind?
Well, before I say anything, I got to give a shout out to my granddaughter and the Cannon Macmillan Little Max. This shirt costs as much as my truck. But anyways,
Support your kids. That's what he's telling you. Support your kids, even if it hurts.
they won't admit it, but I was invited here tonight to eat crow because I was
Oh, man.
was up for the Eagles. I'm man enough to say, yeah, you can't handicap a bad play. If he don't fumble that ball, it's 31-7. So, but hats off to Mahomes and them. He played a great possum game with that ankle.
Hold it. You think he was acting?
Let me tell you something. I've had high ankle sprains. I couldn't crawl across the room. I don't know how he ran 25 yards.
Well, did you miss what I said last week that some careers have ended because of high ankle sprains? How did he play and finish the game? And how did he make a couple big runs in the second half?
Let me tell you something. You'd have to shoot me up with some pretty strong stuff to get me to run 25 yards with Riddick and them chasing me. I can tell you
Hold it.
that.
No disclaimer bit. They asked Patrick Mahomes if he took a shot. Guess what he said? Now, he's not like Smoking Jim. He said no.
and he's amazing. Now let's get to the controversial play. Now we all know that, you know, there's a million plays that make up a game. But as a former corner, that call was a spit on the sidewalk call. Is spitting on the sidewalk illegal? Yeah. Does anybody get stopped for it? Not too much.
That was the one time they got him,
Let
though.
me tell you something. And I hear people saying, oh, he could have caught that ball. Will Chamberlain couldn't have caught that ball.
Hold it, Guns. We had a little conversation on the phone. And I told you I watched ESPN and a couple of the things they said. And one of them, Dan Orlovsky or whatever, he's on there. He goes, if they were letting him play all game, this is the only holding call you made all game. Now, he was a backup quarterback for years. He said they shouldn't have called it. And then others had said sometimes the referees swallow the whistle during playoffs. Just watch hockey. Right, Nick?
Yep.
Watch hockey. They swallow it whole.
Let me tell you something.
Danny was a good quarterback at UConn, not in the NFL, but UConn, he's very good.
What that corner did, I've done 100 times. And you know how many times I got called for it?
Less than 10.
Less than 10. So, you know,
Charlene Thomas, thanks for watching our show.
my eye on that's a little different. I just think it's sad for the game that, and I'm not going to take anything away from Mahomes. He's an awesome player. But to think that a team won the Super Bowl by two, not one, two referee calls. They beat San Francisco on a ref call.
Yes, they did.
And now they beat the Eagles. And I'll tell you what, I think Hurt played better than
Hold
Mahomes.
it. Jalen Hurts had better statistics than most quarterbacks in Super Bowl history. If he wins the game, he's the MVP. His stats were off the charts. His running ability, and if that penalty or whatever, Bradbury admitted it. When do you hear a first-class guy who played defense admit that he held him? He held him once early and once late, and like I've told people, I've heard people talk about it. If you can get a guy to slow down, he can't complete his route. So he grabbed him twice, knew what he did, and people were going, he couldn't have caught the ball. Well, the reason is he was taken off of his route running.
He still wouldn't have got there.
How did the Woodland Hills kid do, Miles Sanders?
Well,
Was he up for MVP?
No, I'll get up to, like Smoking Jim had to bring something negative out.
But I can't say this. Congratulations to Sky Moore from Shadyside Academy for catching that touchdown.
Guess who he's related to?
Well, I know his mom is a bartender.
Do you
one
know
of
his
my favorite
Do you know
bars
his
in New
cousin who was on our show?
Kent. Who?
She played for the Pittsburgh Passion. Smoking Jim usually remembers beautiful women. Quaylen Pitts.
Quaylen.
She was a guest on our
Wow.
show.
She got a nice she works on her body real nice. She's fast. She's a
family
great
show.
running back. No, I'm just saying. She keeps
family
herself
show,
in shape.
Smoking Jim.
She keeps herself in shape.
I just have two more points.
Go ahead.
One, Andy Reid is the greatest coach in NFL right now.
Wow.
I call Andy Reid the Cobra. And you know why? Like a king cobra, he watches you to make one bad move, and then he bites you and puts you down. He just is amazing. And the most amazing thing about him, and just to be able to compare him to Tomlin one way. When Juju Smith was here, all he cared about was his silly,
Yeah. Good point.
what do you call it?
TikTok.
TikToks and all that other stuff.
Social media.
But Andy Reid sat him down and said, do you want to be a good football player? And look at the difference in him under Andy
I'm going to
Reid.
talk about that on What's on My Mind.
The same thing with Ingram.
Exactly,
my
like we
hats-
talked about.
My hat's off to Andy Reid.
I
He
wish
is
Andy
the-
Reid would have watched after his sons a little better, but I can say
Smoking
this. the one-
Jim,
no, the
why
one
do you
thing-
go negative?
No. Here's
Why
a
do you go
positive.
negative?
Here's a positive about
Hey,
Andy
you know
Reid.
what?
Andy Reid, Kelsey
Hold
played-
it, it's Guns'
Oh, my
turn.
fault, Guns. Go ahead. My fault, buddy. My fault.
He must really be smoked. You know, as far as kids go, look, you know, I got kids, I got grand. You got to be lucky sometimes. I know guys that have done everything, and you know, I'm not gonna indict a guy because his kids did whatever. You just don't know.
Well, we don't even know how many kids and grandchildren Smoking Jim has.
He don't even know.
No disclaimer there.
When I played for the Colts, a little kid walked up to me one time and said to me, "Do you know my dad?" I'm like, "Well, who's your dad?" He's there. Here's my picture. I'm like, that's the fourth picture I've seen in 4 games. How many kids do you have? And that's what's on my mind.
Smoking Jim, what point did you
Can I
want to make?
just say this? Andy Reid had Kelsey's brother. You know, they from Cleveland Heights. You know, most people from Cleveland Heights is no good. He had Kelsey's brother. And Kelsey got in so much trouble, he was falling in the draft in college. And Andy Reid called him and said, "Hey, listen, we're thinking about drafting you. You going to be a knucklehead and ruin your career, or you going to come here and be good?" He said, "I'm going to be good." He said, "Put your brother on the phone." He says, "Should I draft this guy?" He said, draft Kelsey. Now Kelsey's one of the best tight ends of
Yeah,
football.
but let me-
He stepped up.
Let me go. I thought the most of
Father figure.
both Kelseys.
Kelsey.
I thought the best of them. And then I wondered why after San Francisco, Travis is mouthing off and calling people jabronis.
I don't like that.
Now, hold on a second.
that either.
Then how they were saying nobody respected him. I picked them. Others people picked them. So then I thought, where did they grow up?
Cleveland
In the
Heights.
dog pound.
That's the problem. So that's the problem
I
there.
also think Cincinnati's mayor had something to do with the.
I will say one thing.
That was some
No,
nonsense.
no, we understand
Yeah.
why it was tit for tat.
One
So
thing I would say, they are 2 of the most talented players in the NFL, and they are 2 of the biggest jerks in the NFL. After seeing the other, I thought the other brother was okay. There's 8 million people in Philadelphia at a rally, 10 million little kids and stuff, and he said more F words in that speech than I've said in 30 years. So,
Wow.
and you know I'm not exactly a priest, so
I agree with
I'm
that.
just saying.
all right, Johnny Mariano's in the studio. He's watching us. Great show. You should have a studio audience here. People would love a meet and greet with Smoking Jim and Guns.
They would.
Hey,
They
Johnny,
would.
what about the talking machine in VIP? He cut us right out. He's sucking up to the guys on air right now. Then Jack Bransowitz is watching.
We're the Kelsey brothers.
Michael Rohde's watching. Mike, we miss you. Your dad's watching, Marco. And Paul Haley's coming back. He said the challenge on the 3rd and 15 catch out of bounds gave the Eagles the chance to KC. Very observant.
Haley's Comet.
Yeah.
I don't think
And
Tom
Paul
will get a
Haley
challenge,
goes, clearly no possession. Great analysis, Paul. We appreciate you. Phew, I'm lost. Where are we going?
I think it's my turn.
It's Nick's turn.
Nick, can you let Nick speak, Jim?
though. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Nick Callis, what's on your mind?
All right, so something happened this weekend.
When?
Kel Berger and I on 93.7 The Fan at noon before our live coverage of the Super Bowl, which I worked during the Super Bowl, so RIP to me. But that's not the
Hold
point.
it. Where do you work?
93.7 The Fan.
What do you
everybody
do
knows
there?
I produce. I'm a programming producer. All right, great.
How come you're talking on air now?
Because our boss, Craig Riley, is a great guy, and he likes producers because he was one.
I'm just trying to help you
And he
out.
believes we have personality, and he was right. But Kel and I did a draft. Kel Berger and I did a draft about Super Bowl foods. Kel and I went back and forth. Now listen to Kel's list real quick, because this is interesting. He picked in the first 2 rounds buffalo chicken dip and then guacamole. Sausage and peppers was 3. Chicken tenders was 4. Cheetos Puffs was 5. Now I want to ask all of you, where do we stand on buffalo chicken dip?
Sound like a white.
I'm in. Count me in.
You guys like buffalo chicken dip? Yeah.
With hot sauce in it.
Yeah. Well, that.
Love it.
We're black
Okay.
over here. We
Yeah,
like
we're
hot
black
sauce.
over here, folks.
Hey,
I grew up in East Liberty. I need a hot sauce, man.
I'm white
You've
over.
never had buffalo chicken dip, Smoker?
I never heard of it.
Oh well, that's a. All right.
Well, just like he never heard of racism.
now,
Jim,
He never heard of racism, and Jim's counting as a black guy with him.
Oh man.
Hey, it's
I didn't
all
want it
about-
to go this
it's all
far. I'm
about the
sorry that
barbecue, man.
I'm sorry that. But here, my 5 selections.
I'm just saying.
Cal got
Gotta go to
roasted.
Clear and get good barbecue.
Cal got roasted for his picks. My 5 picks, very straightforward, very standard. Pizza, wings, hot dogs, French fries, potato chips. If you had any of those, you're eating some
Yes,
right now.
Yes.
So, yeah, Cal got slaughtered for his picks, but he was trying to go a little more, I guess, controversial. Like, let's pick something that not everybody picks. I went straight forward, and Twitter seems to
Oh,
like
the puffs are
standard
the
stuff.
only thing I don't really like on his.
Cheetos Puffs.
Yeah, I don't
That's
really
what I'm
like
saying, too.
those.
Like, who... Have you ever had Cheetos Puffs?
I've had them.
I've had
No?
them, but I wouldn't put them in the top 20.
Like on a Super Bowl
They're
list.
not even in the
They're
top
everywhere.
50.
And I'm starving.
He didn't pick wings in the first round too, and I thought he was, and everybody was like, "Well, when Callis gets pizza and wings, that's the two."
First of all, you gotta have
big
wings
ones.
and
Gotta
ribs.
have,
But buffalo chicken dip too. That was his number one. That's
gotta
you've
have
never
sweet
heard of it.
potato yams and macaroni and cheese.
Oh, I like the macaroni and cheese, and I love yams.
Some greens.
Hold it. Am I black then, Jim?
I don't know. But you lived in the country though, so I don't know.
But I've never.
I grew up in the country in Greentree.
Right.
I can't remember having.
Ham hocks in the greens.
Hold it. Paul Haley speaking up again.
Okay.
Nick, Cool Ranch Doritos are the bomb. Way to go, Paul.
I'd rather have potato chips. That's why I didn't draft the
I'd rather have
Doritos.
the ones in the purple bag.
Yeah.
You can't beat potato chips, but he picked 2 dips in the first round. I
I've
just
never
wanted.
felt
I just
so
wanted.
white.
If you
You got a
wanna-
nice white hat.
If you want to comment just where you are with buffalo chicken dip, but these two clearly like it. He's never heard of
Hold
it.
it,
I've
wait.
never really had it.
We got Amy chiming in.
Go ahead, Amy.
I love buffalo chicken dip. Which planet does Smokin' Jim live on? Is he the one sending the balloons?
He lives on Monroe. He lives on Monroeville.
Amy, he really doesn't know the balloon thing even happened
That's
because
amazing.
he doesn't follow much except 2 films a day of football,
Yes, sir.
and he's trying to keep track of all his sweeties.
So that's what's on my mind, though. Just food. Buffalo chicken dip, controversial pick. I didn't really think it was on the Super Bowl list, but he did, and
I'm with him.
I'm at the Hall of Famer pizza and wings. I was happy that I got those 2 in the first round. That's what's on my mind.
This isn't a disclaimer, but when I used to go to all these Super Bowl parties, buffalo dip and wings, things like that were on every menu.
How about his second choice was guacamole? Like he had,
Guacamole's the bomb.
but over pizza and wings.
That's uppity.
That's uppity rich.
When you think Super Bowl party, do you think wings or do you think guacamole?
Wings.
I think mac and cheese.
That's my point. It's a little bit odd. That's what I'm saying.
But I've been to
Yeah.
parties with it, so I guess maybe I'm
What's-
rubbing elbows with some other people.
The ribs on the grill.
That's it.
All right, what's on my mind, Al? We've been talking about we have one of the greatest coaches in the NFL, 16 years of a non-losing season. Well, I watched the Super Bowl, and I saw at halftime the offense didn't give up a sack for Kansas City against the number 1 defense in the NFC. They had something called 70 sacks.
Wow.
And they had one of the top 3 offenses, and they're only down 10 points at halftime, and their quarterback got hurt. So I'm wondering what's going to happen, and I already heard the kudos for Reed. He is one of the top coaches, and now that he won his 2nd Super Bowl, he's a first-time Hall of Fame coach to get in. He outcoached the Philadelphia Eagles coach who used to be a coach with him. He showed him what the mentor and the master could do. How did they score on every drive they had in the second half? How did they not allow any sacks, and how did they have a successful running game? Now, everybody was saying how Mahomes will be under pressure the whole game. He was eating buffalo chicken dip and throwing the ball. He had so much time. He wiped it off, rubbed his shin, and he was good with the ankle. He's completing passes all over, and the running back, Pacheco, he was running like a beast. You see, he goes, bam. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that everyone was talking about the trouble that the KC offensive line had, particularly that left tackle. He's just.
Oh, they put it right on him.
But I will say one thing: that is the greatest coaching feat I have ever seen. to turn that line, which is below average, into a fantastic line that day to achieve all the things you just mentioned. I just wanted
Yeah,
to say
and
that.
and that I wanted to get to that, but here he outcoached them. When have we said during the Steelers' past season? What's our coach's name? I forget.
Mike Tomlin.
Did he outcoach anybody? Nobody can answer. I'm hearing crickets. Nobody outcoached. Thanks to Ryan Carney watching.
Saturday.
My friend Dan Duff's watching. And Marla's watching. She said, yeah, Hall of Fame coach. But that's the difference between a great coach and a record-setting 16-year non-losing record. What about Super Bowls? He outcoached in the Super Bowl. You know how big that is. You can talk bad about a couple calls, couple penalties, but look at how many points they scored on the number one, let me emphasize, number one NFC defense. They counted Kansas City out because guess what? They got rid of one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's top 3 for sure, maybe top 2. Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Did they miss him? He threw for over 5,000 yards, and then they get one of the least respected receivers that I've seen on the Steelers, in my opinion, Juju. And they made him into like Hines Ward in the Super Bowl. They always compared him. He was, a little bigger guy, powerful guy. Never showed it here because he had to step on logos. So all of a sudden he's getting wide open in a game because guess what? They schemed that. Did you notice the touchdowns with Tony and Sky Moore? That they were wide open. Did you see movement that they did in the backfield? So the best NFC defense, did I say that 10 times? Best NFC defense, their linebackers were standing still. They didn't know who to hit and where the guy was coming. And when they did run, they ran into their own players. Did you see any of that? Well, I did, so I'm not going to get too geekish on you. The game and the plan by Andy Reid won him the game. If a referee helped, my dad would always say, if you notice the referee, then something's wrong. Well, guess what? There's been something wrong because I disagree with Roger Goodell that he said the referees were great this year. Well, if he was talking about the Las Vegas gamblers and FanDuel and everything else who are their billion dollar sponsors, he's right. They played great for the bookmakers. 1.5 points for KC. That was easy money. I'm sorry I didn't bet with Smoking Jim, but I couldn't trust him. He only won 2 times all last year in football. All right, we're going to go to what's on your minds. Nope.
Fiction and fact.
Fiction and fact. Yeah, we got to go to fiction and fact. Sorry, I got excited. Amy wants to know, do you remember Three Rivers Stadium when the Steelers played long ago? I'm much older than you, Amy. I remember when they opened Three Rivers Stadium. I went to one of the first Pirate games when they opened, and I was at the last Forbes Field game. So look up Forbes Field. Google when that closed. I closed it down there and was there when it ended. And I went to the first game at Three Rivers Stadium. And they were baseball games, Smoking Jim. Pirates when you weren't following them. Chief says, Stevie Wonder Goodell.
Whoops. Wow.
John Donatelli, right. Notice Tunch didn't say buffalo chicken dip and guac. Great point.
Love that.
Great point. All right, fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, I want to wish all the beautiful ladies, all the Steel City beauties out there in southwestern Pennsylvania, a very happy Valentine's Day. Also, it's Black History Month. I wanted to talk about this being the first Super Bowl, and it took 60 years for it to be 2 black quarterbacks playing in the Super Bowl. Did it take too long? No! There's been some horrible black quarterbacks over the years. Elridge Dickey, Vince Evans. Come on, brother.
Hold on, disclaimer.
Don McPherson and Rodney Pete. Come on, Al Levine.
Hold it. I gotta
Reggie Slack.
I gotta disclaim this.
Come on.
I disclaim Smoking Jim Frazier. He's a black man who's not a racist.
Did you like Tony Banks? Akil Smith.
Let me
Did
disclaim.
he steal money off and on the field? Al Levine, the talking machine.
Hold on, time out. Let me disclaim this. His opinions, his thoughts,
T. Martin.
his humus, his comments are unacceptable.
Woo!
They do not represent BPTV
Absolutely not.
and anybody on Pittsburgh Sportsline. These are totally his own.
Byron
So-
Leftwich, the only black man that couldn't run. Come on, Al Levine, the talking machine.
Hold it. Didn't Leftwich win a Super Bowl?
He got fired.
He won a Super
when
Bowl.
When Bruce Arians stepped down, Leftwich got exposed.
Oh, wait a second. Didn't he go to Tampa Bay with Tom Brady and win a Super Bowl?
I'm not sure about that.
How can he have amnesia? So everything he said previously, it's all made up.
Oh, man.
That's my disclaimer. Just throw all that away.
How long did that one
And
cook?
that's-
Oh my goodness.
And that's what's on my mind. No, it's not been too. We may have to wait another 60 years. Al Levine, the talking machine. And that's what's on my mind. Happy Black History Month, by the way.
Well, Smoking Jim, you're about 14 days late, 13 days late. We're halfway through the month, and he brought up one of the most disrespectful things in history.
Yep.
You had two great quarterbacks that were black, and they both had numbers to be MVPs. You notice how he only went to the negative? He could have been positive, like you would think. Like, look at how those brothers did. That's all he would have had to say, and he could have brought up all the other names, but I got to try to put words in his mouth. I can't get them in. We're going to move on. No thanks, Smoking Jim. He's just an entertainer. All right, let's go to guns.
Well, let me say this.
Follow that. Follow.
Let's talk about the game as a whole.
Thanks for helping me out.
and
Crazy.
the technical aspect of the game. You know, all these new iPhones and all this new stuff, and
Tablets.
it's all great stuff. But now what's happened is, have we reached what they call that law of diminishing returns with sports? 8 million replays, as opposed to, you know, the refs making mistakes in the live of the game. What's next? Are we going to put a microchip in a football? And I understand the thought of like, well, we want it to be right. However, we want the game to be human as well. I don't like a game that, you know, by the way we're going, we might as well just have no players and just get those robots from.
They're working on that.
No.
Well, that's what.
No. Chip says that too. No.
No, there's no human element. The human element is being taken out of it, and you know, I mean, 8 million replays, and I'm going to tell you something too. This catch the ball, take control, take 3 steps. Half the stuff I've seen, they were all catches when I played.
Me too.
I don't know. You know what I mean? What do you got to do? Like, hold on, let me get my watch out. You know, there's a lot about the game that I don't like. I mean, I understand these guys are a lot bigger and guys are getting more hurt and stuff like
Yeah.
that, protecting them. But, you know, the way they're going, if people weren't so nuts about football, it may be like the Pittsburgh Condors. If they just,
Oh, great analogy going back. I
you know
like
what
that.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think at some point there has to be a day of reckoning where these are the rules and you can't change it. I mean, you remember when you took the ball in the end zone and you took the ball in the 20?
Yeah.
Now it's a 25. What are you, you know what I mean?
No, you're right. No, and then here's another thing. The NFL tells you they care about the players, so they added a game.
I like that.
And Smoking Jim's like the emperor. They're all expendable. Roman emperor. He's always said it on air. You can check the old tapes.
Piece of meat.
But then here's an interesting fact. Smoking Jim doesn't understand because no offense to all of you with CTE. He was concussed so many times he forgets the first one and the last one. But other than that, he's okay. Now, concussions were up this year. Now, if they truly cared about the players with all the replays and doing the right thing, how did the referees have a great year? How did concussions go up? So we already reached a tipping point. It's already going on.
There's a lot I'm seeing.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, guys.
But there's a lot I'm seeing with the refs that just doesn't look right. I think it's bad for the game. And what I mean is we're leaning more to the refs controlling the game than the players controlling the game. You know what I mean?
And well, I got a question.
Go ahead. I know what he's doing. We'll try not to get interrupted.
Football.
It worked.
Football and basketball are a game of momentum. You're killing the momentum with the replays, like you said.
a great point.
It should be whatever the referees call. That's what it is. Keep it going because a lot of teams win games in that second half in the fourth quarter because of the momentum. Now, I do agree with you. In baseball, it should be electronic. It should be the robots being umpire. It should be the robots being umpire or strikes and balls.
No, I agree. No, you convinced me of that as
Thank
well,
you. Thank you, sir.
impartially. But yeah, my whole thing is just to speak to
Hold
that
it.
point.
It would be legit if he ever played baseball.
I agree with you about the replays. And
He's
too much
not
time
legit.
Being taken away. The only thing I'll say though is that if there's a way that we can find a balance, I think that
right
technology enhances to help create a fair space for the
Great
players.
point.
Because you want to reward them for doing the right things or penalize them when they're doing the wrong things. So I'll meet you halfway.
I agree, and that's a great point. It's the balance.
Great point,
It seems
Nick.
to be it's getting out of balance.
But
So
how would you deal with somebody like him who switches to the negative every time you point out a positive
I
thing?
either stare at him or I giggle and then we move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the most, if Chip's watching this, he's going to be mad. But tomorrow is like the highest point of the Pirate season. I'm going to spring training.
Is that tomorrow?
Because now that curve, if I'm right,
Oh, no.
I'm not looking
Oh, the
for
pitchers and catchers first.
Hey,
Well, we know who fired the shots first.
Yeah.
oh, I did. I can say one thing. All I know is if the Pirates develop some really good players, if I know nothing, they're getting traded.
You do know nothing.
Anyway,
Well, thanks for your points. Chief wanted to say one of the reasons the game changed is $6K for a ticket. And Smoking Jim said he had 2, so I don't know what he was doing.
for $6K, I could watch a game in Hawaii and sit on a beach.
There you go. Watch the volcanoes there. No doubt. All right, thanks. Where are we going next?
My turn. VIP time.
VIP time.
I had a few opinions today. First one, I was wrong about the Super Bowl for the second year in a row, and I feel ashamed because 2 years ago I spoke arrogance when I predicted the Buccaneers were going to win. So I withdraw all of that. The NFL likes its narratives. Why have the most well-rounded team win the Super Bowl when a dude with a hurt ankle can win his second and become only the third player in history, third quarterback in NFL history to have 2 Super Bowl MVPs and 2 league MVPs, right? It's all about the stories.
Hey, then you missed in 6 years.
Yeah, that's impressive.
You know how
too.
long it took Brady?
A lot longer.
11.
Yeah, so impressive, right? So let's just keep
thought
those
I'd hope
storylines.
not.
I also think that the Eagles were one bad snap that was recovered and turned into a touchdown away from Jalen Hurts being the MVP of the Super Bowl, which I picked him to be, and he played like it. I think that's the only reason why he didn't, and also we kind of live in a modern era where the winning team now usually gets the MVP, but he played very, very well.
Didn't I say
So,
that earlier?
You did, but
Okay.
I'm reiterating the point.
Just checking. I
This is
thought
my
that,
turn.
I thought there's a vacuum that
This
we recognize we
this
each
is-
speak.
Right, well, this is my
Just checking.
this is my boundaries now. And then number 3, so
Whoa.
I'll address the hold as well. So, you know, the misconception is when you have holding is supposed to regulate the ability for the receiver to run the route properly. Pass interference is about taking a chance to go for the ball, and that's where the uncatchable part of that kind of comes in. Thinking for a little bit.
What's your point?
So my point is that I think it was a hold. I think that it's rough to end a Super Bowl that way.
Hold it, it
and
was
I
a
think
penalty.
I think it was tough for me too to like. You want to be confident when you walk out of a game that like the best team won the game, and I really don't know when you have a call like that. Like, did the best team win the game? I don't know. I'm still kind of unsatisfied by that. But I mean, I'm not going to fault the ref though, because if you watched, who was it? Barry. What's his name? I forget the Eagles defender.
Barry.
Bradbury.
Bradbury.
Bradbury. Yeah.
Bradbury.
So he brought his
James
hand.
Bradbury.
That's it. So he brought his hand. The problem wasn't with the initial contact. The problem was when Juju Smith-Schuster made a move to the left and he wrapped his hand toward the left to kind of enclose him from running his route. That's a good call.
Very
That's the thing.
technical.
Because if he's got to be able to establish his route, and that contact ends once Juju Smith-Schuster gets level or past the defender. If they're still face to face, that pushing can happen within those 5 yards. But the fact that he had to wrap his arm around to keep him from getting space behind, I don't care whether he was going to catch the ball or not, because holding regulates the ability to establish a route. The pass interference comes in when the ball's in the air and you're trying to establish ground to make a play on the ball in the air. So, not satisfied with the ending, like I said, but the reality of the situation is that call was correct. That's the opinion.
Who's that?
Thank you for explaining that in detail. Yes.
Or something. That
Very
one
good.
Eagle safety is the hardest hitting kid I've seen in the NFL this year. The safety for the Eagles, it's like a hyphen name.
Oh, what was
Is it
his?
Dressler or something? That kid hit like
Bolton or?
man. That kid could hit. Did you
Was
see
that
how many hits he
Bolton?
put
I
on
don't
there?
know.
Yeah. No, he made it. He was a difference maker. He was crushing people.
Oh, he was
I
killing
thought
guys.
it was Bolton was his name. I'm not
Juju
sure.
Smith's lucky he wasn't on him.
Oh, he would have been
Yeah,
unconscious.
he would have.
You done?
I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh,
On
okay.
location time.
Brand the man from Mr. Sewer said hello. He's watching. He said, "Good evening, gentlemen." He must have finished his job. He's a potential co-host down the road. He's a Penguin aficionado. Smoking Jim, he knows everything about Penguins and what their future looks like.
Do you know if they're going to win?
And he would probably agree with you when we talk in the last bit of the show. My longtime Post-Gazette friend and worker with me, George Malerbo Sr.'s watching. Thanks for watching. We're going to go to On Location in 10 seconds or so. Got some on location things. George said good evening. Good evening, George. Thanks for watching. On location, we got the Priory Hotel with Ireland fighting the Pittsburgh Fighters coming up March 10th. March 11th, we're going to Millville with the Ray Schaefer Boxing Association with Jose and his boxers. They got an event at the Millville Community Center. We've been there before. Nick lined up 5 cameras. We taped them on the ceiling, walls, whatever we did. And we got angles that you couldn't believe. So we'll be there on the 11th. Then potentially on the 18th, we're supposed to do more Golden Gloves boxing. So if you want us to do some boxing, give me a call, let us know. And we got that. Then we got April, a couple more boxing matches in April. One's going to be in Monsville, yes, West Virginia, the prison, Monsville Prison. It's well known. They let Smokin' Jim and I in, and then we're allowed to leave. And it's haunted, so Smokin' Jim's a little bit scared. And he doesn't know the type of people they hung down there, but we'll find out later, because he can make his comment after Black History Month. We'll figure it out. And we're looking to do shows maybe at local bars and restaurants like we did pre-COVID. I know a lot of you owners that own your bars and restaurants are struggling with employees and business and everything else. We only charge a small fee to do it. We have from 3 to 15 guests come in there and their families. So we do bring business into your place if you can handle it. And if you give us a call or let me know on Facebook that you're interested, we can come out and talk and see if we can set up a show. We were doing them on Monday nights, but we might even go to a Wednesday night if Smoking Jim's not doing a show with PCTV. So, all right, we got some time here at the end. We always like to bring up some Penguin talk. So, Brand the Man, we're missing you. The Penguins' Guns had a little confrontation with Steve on the show when he said the Penguins are going to be in the playoff, and Guns goes, we got to wait and see. We got a third line that's non-existent. We got Smoking Jim calls the athletes brittle brothers. I don't know if he means black guys or white guys, but we have a brittle brother goaltender named Tristan Jarry, who when he's healthy, which has been few and far between, he's an all-star, no doubt. But he hasn't been with us that long. And Casey DeSmith, guess why he's a backup? Because he doesn't have to play every day. Guess what he's doing? He's playing every day, and he's not doing as well as he should. He's had a few good games.
Why are you saying wow?
Who, him?
It's just like, that's amazing.
Well,
That's
you
a
understand.
backup starts. That's amazing.
When we first started our show, we talked about baseball. He
Right.
was the same way.
It's,
Then 8 years into
Wow.
it, he said he was a pitcher like Vida Blue, who's a left-hander, and he's a right-hander. So that's where he comes from. But no, these are the things happening. Are you seeing the same stuff that I'm seeing, Guns?
Pretty much, yeah. That third line, they probably would do better if they just got rid of it and took the best players in the third and fourth line and put them together.
Yeah, or I say bring up the Wilkes-Barre guys.
You know, as far as the goalie, they had to go in the stands and get one of them cardboard cutouts that they used.
He could stop some of the shots.
There's probably a lot more than he's stopping lately, and they don't even have a hands.
No, you're right. No, those are good points. Nick, what are your thoughts?
I hate that Casey DeSmith has to play, though. I think he's getting a bad rep because he doesn't expect to start. I feel like if he got a little more time to not be in Tristan Jarry's shadow, he'd be good. I also agree that the bottom lines are very bad, and I'm still in doubt about the team. I'm not Steve Wirt saying they're going to make the playoffs. I kind of did to begin the season, but every year that's gone by since, I've really been afraid. I've really been afraid that they're not going to do it, and I really don't want it to be this year. I want the streak to keep going. I don't remember a year that they didn't make the playoffs because I was 7.
Hold it. How old are you?
I am 24. I was 7.
That's why.
I was 7 years old the last time they didn't make playoffs. So think about that. That's a long time.
You were still in a diaper, so you weren't watching the Penguins.
I think
understand.
I was out of a diaper by 7, but thank you.
I take that back.
I think part of it that has caused this issue was the overconfidence of management to think, well, these guys are going to be great, and they're going to be great down the road. And what I mean by that is there are so many no-trade contracts among these guys that now they're trapped. They can't get rid of some of these guys if they wanted to.
Good point.
And
Yeah.
you don't sign those kind of contracts. You don't try to get them unless you want to keep a guy. So you
Well, look at
expect them to-
Kapanen and look at Carter. Carter's had a good career, but he's done this year. Kapanen is a #1 draft pick that has never lived up to any potential.
Let's face it, to Pittsburghers, they love romance. They do.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day is the greatest holiday in Pittsburgh because just like, and even myself, I fall into it, watching those three guys stay together all these
Yeah.
years. And
17 years.
that's how we're built. You know what I mean? We're Pittsburgh.
Yeah. No,
we're
that's
full
good.
Of emotion and
Brand the Man got a point here. He studies the Penguins. Smoking Jim, this will give you another wow. Possible trade targets in Tyler Bertuzzi and Ryan O'Reilly would boost the third line. Defense needs an update for sure. Youth is the key around the core.
good points.
Well stated. What did I say about Brand the Man? Does he know Penguins?
I kind of struggle with him too because like when Ron Hextall speaks, I feel like he's not actually. He's either not involved or wants to make it seem like he's not involved. He's very mysterious.
Well,
Remember the press conference he did last week? He just didn't say much, and
Well,
that doesn't inspire confidence.
You know why? The Boston Red Sox group likes to win.
Fenway Sports Group, good. For
Right. They like to see winners.
Yep.
And that's why they sort of put shackles on him. They gave him a team that's near the cap, and he helped to keep it at the cap. What can you do when you have a cap that you can't put anybody in. You got to get rid of people.
Maybe that's possible. I wish he would speak out.
Well,
or at least
do the
about it. Maybe
balance
some-
on it. He was always an outspoken guy, and just look at his history in the NHL.
So you think it's because of the ownership of Fenway Sports?
Yeah,
Wow.
well. It's like, how do you spell the Pirates problem? And
Ben Cherington.
N-U-T-T-I-N-G lets you spend this amount whether you're Cherington or nobody.
But at least here's the thing. Like, he does a show every Sunday during the season, and he speaks, and he says, here are some names, here are some specifics, we're developing this. There's a lot of generic stuff that he says. There's a lot of that just spelled out, branded stuff that he says. But there's also, like, you feel like you're getting at least some information. Like, okay, Ben Cherington is the GM of the Pirates. With Ron Hextall, it's like, I can't really answer that right now.
Well, his hands are tied.
I'm not really sure what we're doing, or
Here,
we might call up some
Paul
people. but we
Haley
might not.
says,
Okay.
Hextall is on his way out. He did nothing to help Philly, so why did we choose him? Great point.
Great point. I agree with you. I agree.
We confirm that. Go ahead,
To
Guns.
speak to your point, I was an Allegheny County councilman for a decade. I know BS probably more than anyone. And these guys, I swear I'm on council with some of these owners. The stuff they
Hold it.
do.
If we're bragging about BS, I worked in a union with 200 plus men and women, and they go, Al, do you have a BS detector? And I said, yes. They go, because you tell us that this guy's lying all the time, and that girl and this guy. And God bless me with the BS detector. I get it with Hextall. I get it with Cherington on a certain level. When
I'm
they're
not saying he doesn't ever speak BS. I feel more authenticity from Cherington than I do at all from Hextall.
Well, I lean towards that with you because I'm the eternal, disgruntled, hopeful Pirate fan.
Keep hoping. Your
Well,
great,
I'll
great
still be
grandkids
disgruntled.
Will be saying that they'll be there with candles praying for them to win.
Well, we could have
that was
that
an
happen.
opinion one time, though. I do believe the Pirates will win a World Series in my lifetime.
Well, here, I want to go to hockey with Smokin' Jim. We couldn't talk Penguins with him because he only regurgitates what we say when we had shows with him, and he's good at it.
Trade for Ovechkin.
But he didn't even know that Ovechkin is taking time off with some family problem, that somebody in his family's not doing well. So he took time, unlike Smokin' Jim, to be with his family.
I know Russia and Ukraine's going at it. Is that part of it?
You might be a couple years behind.
Well, he lives in America.
Jeez.
The greatest thing in sports is going to start happening in March, when all the great owners of the greatest horses in the country bring out the 3-year-olds for the qualifying races for the Kentucky Derby. I'd rather watch that than watch the Pirates.
I'm about the horses. Brandon got one last comment. I can squeeze it in to show that he's an expert. We'd have to trade a first rounder, which is a huge gamble where we stand in the cap window or where we are in the standings. We're going to have to end this. Thanks to all of you for watching. Thanks to Marco, Johnny. Rowan did a great job. Congratulations, Rowan.
My man.
First time at 13 years old.
Wow.
That is amazing. And I wish all of you a happy Valentine's Day. If you haven't gone out with your sweetie, do what Smokin' Jim does. Tell him, I love you, sweeties. And we're gonna we're gonna end the show with Please Stay Joey Strong.